Aloha. This is our Thursday Friday lesson for the week of 9/21 to 9/26. It's a fairly short lesson with some of the stuff in this lesson being linked on the assignment page on Google Classroom instead of in this lesson itself. So there's one thing that I'd like you to go and listen to outside of this or alongside this if you want to pause this and listen to that. That is our informational lesson for today. Real quick recap of lessons that have been, or assignments that have been due for a grade. Your discussion for the Baldwin-Buckley debate has been due. Your A2C form has been due. Your standards assignment number 1 has been due. And that first Gatsby chapter 1 journal has been due as well. Due this Saturday on the 26th is your standards assignment number 2 for themes. And then due on the 10th of October is the outline for our first A2C essay, which we're going to go over a little bit in this lesson. It is about almost 2 p.m. on the 23rd of September right now, and they did announce the verdict for Breonna Taylor about 20 minutes ago. I'm going to post this link in the assignment too. If you are in a space right now where you just want to do something, you just want to speak to someone, you want to be heard, I guess there's 2 ways that I could mean that. If you're in a really bad headspace right now or in a really rough headspace emotionally, I'll drop the links to our counselors in this lesson as well, but also I'm going to drop this link. If you use incognito mode, you don't have to pay for anything, or I think that this is actually a free article on New York Times, but it's a walkthrough of different ways to participate in government, from marching to reaching out to your elected officials to letters to phone calls to voting itself and signing up for that. This is just kind of a way to take action in response to a space that might have some serious emotional response to, and a way to take action. I don't know, whenever I'm confronted with really emotional situations, I usually try to solve the problem or work my way through by having some kind of impact, and this is a collection of ways to do that. All right, our learning targets of the week. We're reading chapter 2 in The Great Gatsby and responding to the journal for extra credit. Our informational text today is an article on the Baldwin v. Buckley debate. It is specifically focused on James Baldwin today, with some really great quotes pulled from Baldwin's collected works by a couple of Baldwin scholars. Our writing assignment that is upcoming at this point is the second one, which is due on Saturday this week, but also we're going to look at the outline for your first A2C essay, which is your This I Believe essay. And then our miscellaneous learning target is reviewing previously assigned assignments and completing those in a timely manner. All right, real quick recap of the week structure. Monday, Tuesday lessons are posted on YouTube and Google Classroom. If you ever miss these, if you ever miss the live class, you can watch these. My office hours are 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Shout out to the 5 students who logged in during my office hour this week and got some specific personalized help on their standards assignments. Thank you for coming in. I'm glad I could be of assistance. And on Thursdays and Fridays, we do another recorded lesson just like this one. So a moment of mindfulness. Just vibing. I really like We Bear Bears. Snow Bear is a pretty great character. It's a pretty great character. It's a whole mood, Snow Bear. Okay. Our third writing lesson, or this isn't. This is standards assignment number 3. for our writing lesson, we're talking about completing your outline for your first A2C essay. This will be due on the 10th of October in the gradebook. And the goal of this is to get you to a space where you can really quickly write your rough draft, which will be due on the 17th of October, the week after. So for finding your this I believe topic, it should be something that I believe that you hold strongly, something you know to be true. And I got 10 questions for you to kind of help you narrow down what you believe. So those 10 questions are, everyone has problems or challenges to overcome in their life. What has been the most challenging or rewarding moment in your life? Or have you ever been in a situation when you didn't quite have the courage to take action when you felt you should? Or did you ever have to confront someone very different from you? If so, what happened and what did you learn? Or have you ever been disappointed because someone made a promise they failed to keep? Or have you broken a promise that you made to someone else? Can you think of someone who has taught you a valuable lesson about life and remember the exact moment when the lesson occurred? Have you ever had a do something moment, a time when you realized you had to take action in order to make a change happen? Have you ever changed your mind about something that you were previously certain about? What was the moment that led to this change? Or what do you believe are the most important rules to live by? When did you learn those rules and who taught you? Choose one of these rules to explore more in depth. Or we all tend to judge people by their appearances, even though looks can be deceiving. Have you ever prejudged someone incorrectly based on appearances? Or has someone ever prejudged you unfairly based on how you look? Or the last one, finish this sentence. If there's one thing I've learned about life, it is. So these are just some ways to start thinking. If you're stuck, try to answer these questions, and maybe one of these 10 questions will take you down a path that you can expand into an essay. The outline itself is hopefully a useful tool and a useful assignment to kind of help you focus your efforts as we get started on this essay. All right, so what this assignment looks like is you have kind of a tiered walkthrough similar to the first and the second standards assignments. Here, I'd like you to break down your topic/belief statement into with three supporting parts. So you have your topic statement. It's a bad arrow. So you have your topic statement, which is a sentence that you're then going to expand on in three supporting sentences. So that's going to do a couple things for you. But most of all, it's going to make it easier for you to write this essay if you can use this structure. You don't have to use this structure if you have a really strongly held belief and you really enjoy writing essays and you know that you can get to the 5-paragraph, 2-page minimum on that belief. Now, if you think you're going to struggle to get there, you should definitely use this structure. My example that I give you here is I say, I believe that I never really knew how to cook until I left home and had kids. That is my topic. That's my topic. Then I support that by saying I was always eating fast food. So that's my first supporting piece of, my first supporting statement. Then I also say my mom cooked most of our meals at home. That's my second supporting statement. And then I say I really only cooked at work when I was a caterer, and it was always for a bunch of other people. So I have these three supporting statements that I'm going to revisit later on in the essay, in the body of the essay. That makes it much easier for me to write the full 5 paragraphs because I already have some structure baked in. The other thing that I need you to complete for this is to share an anecdote or a short vignette, which are just fancy words for a short story that has to do with what you're talking about. This one in this case would be like something about cooking and learning to cook as a caterer and the friends I made working with some legit chefs at IUS back in the day before I was a teacher. So this is what our third standards assignment is going to look like, and this should help you prepare for that essay that we are writing during October. All right, quick reminder that the second chapter of The Great Gatsby is posted in class this week. It is for extra credit. I'll be posting the third chapter of Great Gatsby next week. I think that one will be 4 credit because we're going to keep working our way through Gatsby, and I'm going to keep pushing to get some of those read and responded to. Yeah, no graded literature assignment this week, just extra credit. And the 4 questions that you could answer about Chapter 2 when you read it or listen to it are: describe the Valley of Ashes. Why do you think Fitzgerald is showing you all this detail? Why do you think Daisy described Nick as an absolute rose? Why do you think F. Scott Fitzgerald places such an intense symbol for God, watching the Valley of Ashes in the eyes of Dr. T.J. Ecclesberg? And what are the relationship dynamics between Myrtle Wilson and Tom Buchanan? Spoilers, they're not great. That is an extra credit assignment. The only graded assignment this week is standard assignment number 2, which is due Saturday. You'll have another graded assignment next week, but we don't have a standards assignment due next week, so it'll either be a literature assignment or the next chapter of The Great Gatsby. So kind of stay tuned for that on the Monday, Tuesday lesson. Okay, so our informational lesson today is a 20-minute interview on a show called NPR Throughline, and it is a special on James Baldwin's Fire. It is a really, really fascinating interview that I'm going to drop in the link to this lesson. I don't have a way to put it in the PowerPoint recording that I'm doing right now, so I'm going to give you a couple quotes from that interview that I think are particularly salient, meaning meaningful or interesting, especially this week. I think that you should absolutely listen to that interview. It is a really fascinating one, and you don't need to listen to the full 45 minutes. It is an amazing, amazing, amazing conversation, but the first 20 minutes of it is really what I would like to draw your attention to today. So in class, we'll do a group listening to this. Here in this recorded version of this class, I'm not going to do the sound because I can't do the sound of PowerPoint. I'm going to link this to you, and I'm going to look at a couple of the quotes from the interview that I think are particularly salient. The 2 interviewers are this lady, Rund Autelfada, and Ramtin Arablouei, and they're interviewing Eddie Glaude, and they're all discussing James Baldwin. Excuse me. So here are some of the quotes from this interview that I think are particularly salient. And this is a quote from Baldwin. He says, "Until the moment comes when we, the American people, are able to accept the fact that I have to accept, for example, that my ancestors are both black and white, that on the continent we're trying to forge a new identity for which we need each other. Until this moment, there is scarcely any hope for the American dream, because the people who are denied participation in it by their very presence will wreck it. And if that happens, it is a very grave moment for the West." This is Claude. He says, "Before we can say anything, about the world we inhabit, we need to say something about ourselves, because the messiness of the world is actually a reflection of the messiness of our interior lives. So there's a kind of demand for self-examination." This is a Baldwin quote. "I'm terrified of the moral apathy, the death of the heart, which is happening in my country. These people have deluded themselves for so long that they really don't think I'm human, and this means that they have become in themselves moral monsters." And this is Claude. Baldwin in 1964 wrote an essay entitled "The White Problem," and he has this wonderful passage. It's so poignant, where and I'm paraphrasing here, where he says, that the founders of the country, they had a fatal flaw. They said that they were Christian. They said that they were founding the nation on these principles, but yet they had chattel. They had us. Chattel is another word for slavery. And in order to justify the role that these chattel played in their lives, they had to basically say that these men and women were not human beings, because if they weren't human beings, then no crime had been committed. Then here's the lie that is the basis of our present trouble. And so we tell ourselves this story, that we're the Redeemer nation, that we're the shining city on the hill, as Ronald Reagan said. And we tell ourselves we're the example of democracy achieved, as if we didn't do what we did in Haiti, as if we didn't do what we did in Cuba, or what we did in Puerto Rico, or what we did in Hiroshima, or what we did in Nagasaki, right? So we do all of that to protect our innocence. And this is the interviewer reading from the book that Claude wrote. "America, in its racist assumptions, had indelibly shaped who Baldwin was. But he insisted that we are not the mere product of social forces. Each of us has a say in who we take ourselves to be. No matter what America said about him as a black person, Baldwin argued he had the last word about who he was as a human being and as a black man. Just as we must examine our individual experiences and the terrors that shape how we come to see ourselves together as a country, we must do the same. The two are bound together. And this is from an interview with this guy, Kenneth Clark, with James Baldwin. And Clark says, Jim, Baldwin went by Jimmy now and then, said, Jim, what do you see deep in the recesses of your own mind as the future of our nation? And Baldwin says, well, I'm both glad and sorry you asked me that question, but I'll do my best to answer it. I can't be a pessimist because I'm alive. To be a pessimist means that you have agreed that human life is an academic matter. What Baldwin's saying there, pessimist is somebody who always looks on the worst side. It's a cup half empty style of looking at the world. And Baldwin says, I'm not a pessimist because I'm still alive. So I have hope because I'm still alive. And if you're a pessimist or you're hopeless, it means that you've agreed that human life is an academic matter. It's just ideas, and it's not something that you can actually live. We go back to Glaude. He says, we travel and we move around the surfaces because we are afraid of what's in the dark cellar. We don't want to look the terror squarely in the face, but you know, America's like Never Never Land, and we all want to be lost boys and girls, but we don't want to be responsible or accountable. We'd rather be safe and secure in our innocence. And you know, it's that moment in Baldwin's The Fire Next Time where he says, people either don't know or they don't want to admit, in effect, what's happened to thousands of their countrymen. And he said, you can't be innocent in the face of that. The innocence is the crime. And I think this is a particularly important and difficult concept for a lot of people, is the idea that it's not saying that being innocent of a crime is a crime, but being innocent of knowledge is a crime. Not refusing to understand the history of our country is the crime in Baldwin's mind. Baldwin says, one of the things that most afflicts this country is that white people don't know who they are or where they come from. That's why you think I'm a problem. But I am not the problem. Your history is. And as long as you pretend you don't know your history, you're going to be the prisoner of it. Part of why I think Baldwin is extremely valuable right now, part of why I think that so many people are returning to Baldwin in 2020 is this ability to speak to white and black America clearly, and to see clearly the entirety of America. Because Baldwin recognizes that the language of white supremacy robs white people of an identity as it robs black people of safety. So I think that that's a particularly important place to get to narratively right now in our country. And I think that it's a difficult place to get to, but I think that it's how we can be free of white supremacy. All right, I know that's heady stuff, and I really hope that you do listen to the interview. It's really fascinating. It's extremely well edited. The music in it is very poignant and great, and it's a really great discussion between a lot of people who have thought a lot about Baldwin and civil rights. And I can't think of a week where Baldwin and civil rights is a more interesting topic to think about and discuss in an English class. If you guys have any questions about that outline for your This I Believe essay, or if you need any help constructing your This I Believe essays, please don't hesitate to drop me a line through Google Classroom. I've been working, there's like a baby yodeling in the background. I've been working to catch up on my responses to Google Classroom and emails, so please don't hesitate to drop me an email and I'll get back to you. Thank you so much for listening. And real quick recap, the only upcoming assignments are this week, this Saturday, standard assignment number 2, your theme statement from a TED Talk that hopefully aligns to your interests personally, and a standard assignment number 3, the outline is due on the 10th of October. There will be a small assignment in between here and there, probably in Gatsby. Thanks again for listening, y'all, and I hope you have a safe afternoon, a safe weekend, and have a good one. I'll see you in class. Later.